not simply those that have to catch flights.
The young man came up with the goods, and Leganes were put to bed.
Certainly they were, and Real Madrid are through to the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey after the victory. Luis Garcia with us now. Luis, just about enough there from Real Madrid in the second half. You called it in the pregame. You thought Leganes would be a very, very difficult out.
And it was a close contest until the last minute. You could see that both teams could score a goal and get the win and go through to the semi-finals. But it's true that Real Madrid had the more options, had the more chances, the more clear chances, even the two woodworks. Leganes was about trying to keep the tempo. You could see that in the second half they were start getting tired. They were run out of legs because the transitions were going slower and slower. So no people was committing going forward. We saw the changes from the manager of Leganes up front with Dani Rao into the middle and also Diego up front. Well deserved that fantastic finish for the young talent. And again, Real Madrid going through probably is not the best game for Real Madrid, but there is no injuries. We saw Rodrigo also resting a little bit. So right now I think that Ancelotti must be very happy and looking forward to the derby at the weekend.
Business done for Real Madrid, Craig? Got to rest some guys in advance?
Yeah, but much tougher than Atleti had to work yesterday. Leganes made it a contest. Looked like it was going to go to extra time. Rodrigo was sharp, got rested in the second half. I'd imagine that's what it is. Vinny comes on, should have had himself a couple of goals. Brahim Diaz was excellent, and they're very inexperienced at the back, and there was several mistakes in the game which did allow some opportunities for Leganes, which they took a couple of them, but job done, and they concentrate in the weekend and they march on in this competition. But I think what we saw up front from young Endrick as well was he's still raw. He got himself a goal, but he's still raw, and he's heading. It wasn't just the one that he missed. We saw in the highlight there was another one where Vinicius Junior whipped it in, and he just completely missed it. And I think, although he's a talent, and people have talked about how much game time he's going to get for Real Madrid, I think what we're seeing is that off-the-cuff stuff, he can be very good, but he's still very raw, and he's still got a lot to learn. But it's experience for the young man. He got more game time. He got himself a goal. But ultimately, I think he's still got a fair way to go before he's leading the line for that team.
And even, I would say, Arda Güler, that today wasn't probably the best game of him, and we were expecting a little bit more. But I think Endrick, I can remember that exactly play where he received the goal, and the control should be going forward just to face the keeper and smash with the left foot. And he controlled it, waited to see if he could give an assist or a pass. That shows you that his personality still needs to develop. He needs to continue getting experience. But I think that it is a fantastic centre forward that we'll see in the coming future. But right now, probably has to wait. And maybe I would say that we'll see him on a loan, because the situation now is that he needs to get minutes. He needs to get experience and kind of play all those phases that a player needs to have to develop himself in a better way.
Seems, Shaka, like Real Madrid would be the ideal place to learn. But do you agree with these guys that maybe it's time for a move?
I'm not sure if it's time for a move, because playing with or training with the likes of Vinicius Junior, the Kylian Mbappe, there's huge value to that, especially for a young man like Endrick. And then again, Vinicius Junior being from Brazil, I think there's an opportunity there for him. Whether he goes on loan right now or in a season or two, he does need to start getting minutes. You do have to recognise, and not just in some of the missed chances, but for instance, a couple of times Vinicius Junior gets down the byline, and we're asking who's the player kind of getting across those defenders, who's that striker who's getting close to the goalkeeper for those balls. And at times, Endrick just kind of dropped a little bit deeper. When you're playing for Real Madrid, you have to get that 5 or 6 yards further up, because free up space for the midfielders to fill that void 12 to 18 yards out. That's a part of the learning process. We've seen Endrick kind of grow, make mistakes. We've seen him even benefit from some poor decisions. He has to get more consistent. But that's part and parcel, regardless of the price tag or the reputation that you come with. It's part of the learning curve.
Just a time for patience, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And good advice from family and friends and his advisors. And also, he will play some part prominently off the bench, but he's been effective in doing that at times. And he has a manager there who is worldly wise in terms of dealing with both senior players and youngsters. There's few better, if any, in being able to manage situations, careers, trajectories. So he's in a good place right now. I know the minutes can be frustrating, but he's not ready to be the man at Real Madrid, not as a teenager, not in his game state at the moment. So there's a lot of learning to do, but that's fine because that's part of the game. Part of the game is learning, but you have to be patient. And as long as he's that, he'll be okay.
We could have had the same complaints about Vinicius Junior in his first season and a half at Real Madrid. And look at how he's progressed. So again, you have a countryman there who's gone through a similar path, understands those frustrations. What better for Endrick right now?
Luis, big picture, does it ever get tired, especially with your Atleti and before that Barcelona ways, watching Real Madrid pull it out in this way? I mean, it just feels like a script, a Hollywood script we've seen a million times before when it comes down to these games. And it doesn't matter who's on the field. Not obviously their first choice 11 today, but the guys still got the job done.
Yeah, but it's normal if you have a look to what the Leganes got as a player, the amount of money they can spend during a season. I think that just Vinicius Junior has got a more worth market cap than the whole Leganes. So it's understandable when you watch a game between Real Madrid and Leganes, or Real Madrid Las Palmas, or Real Madrid Valencia at this stage. The normal thing is Real Madrid, because of the talent that they got on the pitch, is that they get the win. So you're getting used to, but because of that situation, because the difference they are between Real Madrid and the rest of the team, what we want is to see a Real Madrid playing a better position, controlling more the game, having more option, or having or scoring more goals, and that doesn't happen very often. We see Real Madrid at some points delivering good football, and today we saw a few good options with players that are not used to be there. But we want to demand a little bit more from this Real Madrid side when they play much more against the teams that they cannot compete at the level that there is Real Madrid. Of course, if you watch a game between Real Madrid and Juventus, Real Madrid against Liverpool, and Real Madrid wins or lose, you know that they are competing toe-to-toe because the level is exactly the same. But when you play against Leganes, the normal thing, the aim probably should be Real Madrid winning. So today, once again, I knew that it will be difficult because Leganes has been improving very much, but the normal thing is that Real Madrid wins. So I don't get tired as soon as Real Madrid propose a good football and show us that they are at the top of the La Liga and in the semi-final of the Copa del Rey, just winning games in a nice and a beautiful way.
You've thrown Luis under the bus.
Yeah.
How's that?
Several times today.
I mentioned his illustrious playing resume. I think that's important to give people context.
He did pick Real Madrid before the game, and you rammed the Barcelona.
No, he picked a draw, didn't he?
Well, then he said Real Madrid to advance.
Oh, he did? Okay, I thought he said we'll see what happens in extra time. I guess
he
we'll have to
did,
go back
and then he mentioned.
No worries, I know. No worries, I know because I know that Seba is a Real Madrid fan, and he gets hurt when I say that Real Madrid is not going to go through. So that's fine. That is not a problem.
That's what it is.
If my mother heard you call me a Real Madrid fan, she would be so bitter. It's a story for another time. Luis, very quickly here, Leganes did score twice today, and we got the game against Atleti coming up on this weekend. We know Real Madrid's defense is pretty much shot with all these injuries. If you give up 2 against Leganes, are there cause for concern going into the game against Atleti on the weekend?
No, there is a totally different game. There's a totally different team, the one we're going to see against Atletico de Madrid. Of course, Atletico de Madrid is a fantastic form, but so it is Real Madrid. I have no doubt that it's very difficult to call that game, even though that Real Madrid has struggled today. But the team, the defense is going to be a totally different one. And Atletico de Madrid, exactly the same. They arrived to a derby like this one. And it doesn't matter how you arrive. It's like El Clásico. You never know what is going to happen during the game. So it's going to be a difficult game to call, but I'm sure that we are going to enjoy a fantastic game.
Real Madrid, a huge game in league on the weekend against Atleti after advancing.
Can I just ask Luis a quick question before we go
quickly? Yes.
To graphics and promos and everything else. What are in terms of the game at the weekend? Who are we expecting back for Real Madrid in a defensive aspect?
Oof.
Well, it's going to be very difficult, but they don't have much. There's going to be Asensio and Tchouaméni because the rest of the players are injured. So I'm expecting them to play both at the back. There is no many more options. Rudiger is injured. Alaba just got another thigh injury. So there is no many places where you can choose. So I guess it's going to be Tchouaméni and Asensio.
Carvajal, Militao, of course, dealing with those long-term injuries as well.
David Alaba's been one, isn't he? He's been out injured, he gets back.
They thought they were going to have him back for this game.
And then he's out again.
And Rudiger, of course, just over the weekend with the hamstring injury, so that'll cost him, they're saying, maybe a couple months. Just absolute devastation on that back line.
And guess what? Atleti will still sit back. I would
Craig called it. Craig called it. We shall see. It's the game at the top of the table coming up this weekend, and Luis Garcia will be with us for an absolutely huge game. Luis, thanks for joining us
Go on,
here
throw him under one more time.
on this edition of ESPN FC. I will not. I look forward to his totally unbiased coverage.